are live. Here we are. I did not put a I didn't put a thing up early today. I just did it right now. And so I'm going to let it just have a couple of seconds for people to come on here. I actually I'll tell you all a story. I even got my wild t-shirt on for this message that I didn't have until about 5 minutes ago. And it's not like I'm sliding in here, kind of figuring things out as I go. Sometimes I have to, what I'm finding now and is the way in which these messages are coming through is shifting. And it used to be in the mornings I would sit and kind of pull them in. And sometimes it's still like that. But what I'm finding now is I'm having to navigate the day and be really aware of the energies, be really aware of what's going on, so that in the 45 minutes, half an hour before the daily tune-in comes on, all of a sudden I'm tuning into my team, being like, "What's the message?" And they're like, "What's the message? What did you learn from today? What did you tune into? What did you notice?" And I kind of like that. So that's why I didn't put anything out this morning, because I didn't have it until I had to really sit with what is the summation so far of the day I've had. So um I'd like to share just through story a little bit, or through experience, what the message is coming through. And I'm a little bit more done up than normal because we were invited to a St. Patrick's Day party at our friend's place. The new place, it's called The Place, and it's tonight. And I was excited because I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything going on, and then all of a sudden, somebody scheduled an session with me, and I'm like, of all days, like Thursday. So I did move it because I'm excited to revisit in physicality a timeline, and in that timeline decide from the awareness that I'm in right now whether or not I want to take this portion of this timeline to my next iteration of life. So bear with me here, because this is a really it was an interesting metaphor that came in through the day. So we've been talking about, being asked to revisit different timelines and go back and extract from them, any lessons that may have been left behind, any beauty that may have not been noticed when you left a timeline, or when you finally consciously kind of put a boundary up and maybe walked away, or maybe haven't revisited a certain timeline, but there was still energy being drained from it or siphoned. Whether that energy be like, you love this timeline and you don't want to let it go, or it's a timeline where it's painful and it's hard to let it go, right? It keeps coming with you from each lifetime to the next. So here's where we're having to, in consciousness, revisit many lifetimes and extract what we can, and then shut them down. Or if there's something that still is a part of us, then we bring that aspect. So here's what this means. I was born and raised in a very Irish Catholic family. And it was like all the stereotypes of Irish Catholic families outside of Philadelphia were pretty much my family. And we, like, my family were like really good people. They were just lost underneath emotional trauma that would expose itself on family gatherings. We'd go through this really fun stage. Like, we were so close to being a healthy family, because at one point on all of our Christmases together, or St. Patrick's Day together, there would be a moment in time where my heart would just fill, and I would sit and watch this like crazy ass family. And the beer would be going, and the wine, the aunts were in the wine, and my grandfather had his whiskey, and everybody would be singing, and Irish jigs were always playing, no matter what holiday it was. And there was like this beautiful like juice that was in our family. And the painful thing about that is that we would go from that in a second because someone would say something stupid that would piss someone else off at the table. And then it would become a projection of anger. And by the end of it, somebody would leave mad. And like the whole thing was just like, meh. So witnessing that as a kid, I've like really, like, I've gone back to a lot of things in my childhood and have closed those timelines because it's a lot of stuff that I don't want to bring with me. However, St. Patrick's Day has always been filled in my subconscious mind as a beautiful, joyous day of celebration. And I connect back in with my grandfather, who's a very bigoted man, but like as a child, you like he was like the grumpy old pop up, like that we just adored. And when he was had Irish folk songs and Irish whiskey in his hand and it was flowing through him. He had the most beautiful voice and would sing at the top of his lungs these beautiful, beautiful Irish folk songs and Danny Boy. And like it's like was such a nostalgic feeling that as I left home and kind of got on with my life, no matter where I was in my 20s and 30s, I would always find an Irish pub to be at for St. Patrick's Day. And then life took me into that 3D system, right? And working and kids and the responsibilities and the obligations and all of the things. And I completely turned away from that one aspect of life that I really loved. And I just let it go to the point where I was just a couple of years ago, I was asking Bud, I'm like, do people still go out for St. Patrick's Day? Does that still go on? Because I got so far from that lifetime. And I was okay with it. I never really thought about it, really, honestly, until our friend said, "Hey, we're having the St. Patrick's Day party. Do you guys want to come? Like, we hope you come." And all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this whole world like opened back up, where I connected back in with the St. Patrick's Day thing and realized it lifetime and realized that it was still siphoning energy from me and but back and forth because I still had the desire. I don't either need to close that timeline and understand that St. Patrick's Day celebrations are no longer for me, or I go there tonight and like wear my green t-shirt and like go back to my wild roots where I loved this part of communal gatherings and in celebration. And will I love it? I don't know. I'm kind of afraid to tiptoe back into that world because just going around in the world today is like so exhausting. So this is going to be even more energy, but at the same time, what I love about how this path is unfolding in closing timelines is not only are we being asked to maybe sit in quiet consciousness and visit in consciousness these timelines, but the universe is also giving us an opportunity, if we really pay attention, to dip back into a couple timelines in physical form to maybe enjoy it. And I get to walk back into my life as someone who used to love celebrating St. Patrick's Day, not because of St. Patrick. I'm not really sure what St. Patrick did. And not because I used to be Catholic, but because it was a memory that filled my heart and soul to celebrate, to hear the music, to partake in that kind of celebration. So I'm going to go back into that lifetime in physical form today and decide, do I want to continue this tradition of celebrating St. Patrick's Day in this new evolution of who I am? I don't know. I'm going to decide. Otherwise, I'm going to close down that timeline. So I wanted to share that piece of it because I think it's really interesting how this all shows up when we get a message here on the Daily Tune In. And it's like, you're going to be shutting down timelines, to really kind of pick that apart. And what does that look like in practicality? So you don't miss anything. So you are getting really skilled. Remember, we're also fine tuning our skill sets. So getting really skilled in fine tuning of like, oh, this is a timeline that's showing up and I get to relive it. I get to go after I'm finished work here on this Daily Tune In. Just back in the day when I used to celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Chicago. I'd go to work, a bunch of us after work would go across the street to, the Billy Goat Tavern, literally, and have some beers for St. Patrick's Day, and then walk up, to another bar. And I'm not saying just go out and drink and do all of that. That was old school life. What does it look like now? I'm excited to explore that. I'm excited to see how much I've grown from that. I'm excited to revisit it and just see how it looks differently now, and do I enjoy it as much? So as I was kind of having that revelation today, in all the different ways we're being asked to shut down timelines, we went to the beach, and Bud and I we were sitting there for a while, and I was watching the dogs. Okay. And this is where a big part of the, I'm going to get my notes actually. Um, and if you're new here, we have a dog, Priya, that we've had. She's about 5, we think. She was rescued, but she's been all over with us. And then in the last month, we have been adopted by a street dog. His name is Pepe now. And he just literally would not leave us, and just follows us everywhere. It is the most loyal thing. And now he's like, he herds and shepherds us as we walk through town. He runs he has a perimeter around us. Like, it's insane. But here's what as I was watching them today, it was so interesting, because I was watching Priya on the beach, just passed out in the sun. She's a lazy dog. Like, she's so lazy, and she's earned her laziness because she's been on this journey with us for the last year and a half. But I was looking at her and saying, man, she's so tamed. Like, we have completely tamed her, to the point where it's not inherent in her to go off and sniff and to run and do all of these things. And it's my dream to have a farm where she can just go out, because when she has had freedom and she has been able to kind of tap into her wild side, like at my parents, my mom and stepdad's house in California, they have 14 acres. She would go all day, we wouldn't see her, and she came back and she was the healthiest she's ever been. But I'm noticing, because she has to remain so tame here, she's lazy, and she doesn't do anything. And then you've got Pepe, who is completely into his wild side. Like, he can't sit for longer than 5 seconds without running off and barking at something and causing a ruckus. He's protecting us, but he creates havoc. He wreaks havoc everywhere he goes, because he's so loud. His wild is way off on one side, and Priya's way off on this side, is in a tamed way. But what I'm also noticing, as these two dogs are watching each other, and Bria's been a little bit, when she's on the leash, she's been a little bit more defiant. And so like, and it's frustrating Bud, because he's like, this dog is a bad influence on Priya. Cause I'm like, no, she is seeing what it means to be an inherently wild dog, and what Pepe does when he runs off, and he goes off and he sneaks and gets out, gets little rodents, and he runs after cats, and he's like on his wild side. So Priya's practicing a little bit of wild. She's kind of being defiant. She's going beyond her limits. And then there's Pepe, who's watching her. And when he comes back into this place, he then kind of tunes into her, resonates with her. And he's starting to, we're being able to tame him. But also, what I want to have him keep is that wild piece of him. So trying to have these two dogs come from their extreme sides of wild and tame, and come into a balance where we can all be a little bit of wild and a little bit of tamed as well. So that then brought me back to all of us. And as we're shutting down these timelines, and we're really like, this is our life review. We're going through and reviewing all the things that are still open, saying, is this mine still to bring with me? There's also the consideration to the wild part of you that may have used to like something, and does the tamed part of you still want a piece of that? Or vice versa, does the tamed part of you, the part of you that has been tamed for so long, is there a possibility for it to expand into a more wild expression? So in practicality, what that might look like, going back to the Irish St. Patrick's Day celebration. My wild side used to be a part of the celebration, right? I'd be up on the stage, I'd play cowbells with Irish pubs, or in Irish pubs. My grandfather sung, I watched him sing Danny Boy in a pub in Ireland. Like, that wild side, while I was drinking, drinking Guinnesses, that wild side was the part of me that adored this celebration. Tonight, I go a little bit more tamed because I don't want to be that anymore, and my body can't handle it. And I'm not sure that's who I am anymore. But there's still that emotional side, the energetic part of me that resonates so much with that. So tonight, when I'm sitting there, I'm going to connect back in with the wild part of me that had this experience with St. Patrick's Day from the eyes of someone who's a little bit more tamed and who might want to just have a little bit more of a chill of a St. Patty's Day and watch what goes on around me. The other side of that, I'm almost done. The other side of that is there was a part of me for a really long time that was tamed. That I was kind of tethered down to that world of, this is what it looks like to be a mom. This is what it looks like to be a wife. This is what it looks like to have a career. And if you don't want that because you'd rather be more of a mom, then there's like this thing where you don't bring enough energy to the house. And because you don't do that, are you really doing anything? And the energy of, being recognized for being a mom wasn't recognized. Like, so there's all this, like, I got so tamed at trying to live up to these expectations and obligations in this world that now it's like, uh-oh, Pepe's getting in trouble. I don't know if you heard him barking. Um, but so that tamed side of me wants to come into this next expression a little wilder. And all that means is to me be like, I'm going to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, even though I might have ideas of what it really means and the underlying thing of it. I'm going to go in there as a wild side and still enjoy. So we're still just trying to find that balance between what part of us is wild and wants to be inherently just wants to dance to an Irish jig and have a good time. And I don't have to have 13 beers to do it. Maybe I have one beer and I call it a day, and I still dance because that wild side of me is not concerned about what other people think. I don't need all of the stuff to fuel the wild anymore, because the tamed side of me is come to healthy tamed side of me is like, girl, we don't need all of that. We just who we are. We're going to dance to this jig and have a good time. And when the energy gets too much, Bud and I leave. And now we have a part of our new life that we've programmed in, and it's just a little bit different of an iteration of St. Patrick's Day for us. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I'll let you know tomorrow. But all of that, I hope you're following this, because this is the fine tuning piece. We don't leave all parts of us behind because it looks so different. We just rearrange it. We reorganize it, and we bring with us. This is where we choose. What are we bringing with us? Am I bringing St. Patrick's Day with me to this new iteration? Not sure, but I'll find out tonight, And I fixed myself up and I found the one green thing that I have, and it just so happened to say wild. And this was the message for today. And the messages coming in are really beautiful. So I hope you hear that. Like, really just this whole tuning into the timelines and the releasing of timelines is that's our work to do right now. And it's really, really important. And it's really important that we look at it from all different perspectives, because there's so much beauty and so much. I'm sorry, that little dog, he's such a naughty thing. Oh my God, he's just sitting there looking, and Bud just keeps saying quiet. And then he'll just look at Bud and go, "Bah." Bud will be like, quiet. He's just barking enough to let Bud know he's being defiant. But this whole journey is of this work that we're in this next week and in the next 10 days, which is like the clearing and the not the cleansing and the clearing. We already did that. The tidying up that we're doing is coming down to really fine tuning the details of what you want, the details of how you want to think, the details of how you want to feel, really getting deep into what is your experience in every now moment. What would you like to consciously choose to bring with you? What do you consciously choose to leave behind? And is there a higher expression of this lifetime that you might want to move into and still bring portions of it, but not all of it? So really, yeah, we're getting how like fine tuned we're getting with creating the last details of that 5D soul life. Okay. All right. So I also mentioned before I get into y'all's stuff, your comments. I also mentioned yesterday about a program that Mary and I. For some of you who aren't in the Ascension Bank, you may not know Mary, but I'm hoping to introduce her to all of you soon. But Mary and I are doing a really deep dive for the next 3 months, a weekly deep dive into. We're calling it the Ascension Incubator, literally helping 5 people because we just want to keep it really juicy and intimate, and work through with each person every single week into a higher expression, and really, we can do this timeline work together. We can do the cleansing and the purging together, but go and look at it from 7 different perspectives rather than your one perspective. So when you where 2 or more are gathered, there I am. When we bring 7 of us together in a fine circle, we're 7 consciousnesses are coming together to take a look at and support each other. Magic is like, that's where magic happens, y'all. I know that for sure. I've witnessed, I've experienced groups like this, and it is life changing. And 3 months can do a really big, can make a really big difference. And I know this because I've done it myself. And Mary has been my coach for years now, and she is the one that helps me kind of keep my sanity together and I'm the one that jumps big, and she holds me while I jump big, and she's helped me through many things. So I many things, meaning many transformational steps in my life. She supported me all through divorce. She started, through being a single mom, through going through some pretty low times with my ex-husband, to this whole thing. Like, so she has seen me through some really big jumps, and she has helped me see it in a completely different way. So none of it felt the way it should have. It didn't always feel good, but at the end of the day, Mary was the one that helped me see a higher perspective. So from my experience level and from her higher perspective, and bringing 7 of us, 5 other people together in a circle, I guarantee you all, like, changes are going to be made in this group. So if you are interested in learning more, there's a link here in the pinned post at the top for you to take a look at. We do have one person that's already paid for their spot and are joining us. So we've got 4 spots left. Okay. And that's a hard 5, like a hard stop on the 5. There aren't going to be any exceptions because of the importance of keeping it so small. So let's go in. Good snowy morning, Christine. I love the idea of snow. That sounds so cozy. Northern Saskatchewan. I wanted to put a shush in there. Saskatchewan. It's my hubby's and my birthday today. Whoa, both of you together, Michelle. Happy birthday. I don't know if I knew that. I hope I didn't miss something somewhere. I may have, but happy birthday, Michelle. I love that you both have it together. Oh, the sun came out just in time for the DTI. Perfect. I'm glad it did. It's shining bright here, really bright. It's like white bright, that same white bright. Carly, it poured rain all night, turned into snow. I love it. Happy St. Patty's Day. Yes, I can relate to your upbringing, except my family is Polish. Similar. I think most of my family still lives like every day is a party, which is great, but they're numbed out by alcohol abuse. Same with a lot of mine, Marie. Definitely abuse of that kind. This is exactly how I've been feeling for the last 2 years out being sober, trying to find my way between the tame and the old wild is so hard. Yeah, I don't know. I've completely shut down the wild in the last couple of years. But what I realized though, like, maybe it was the summer of 2020, because we were in California with my parents. and I for 3 months. And I remember like all of a sudden being like, whoa, I still have my wild side, but like I was wanting it, not wanting it, I was expecting it. I was like, man, she just went dull. Like she didn't like, there's nothing with her. But what I didn't see was that the wild was still there. She just grew up a little bit. She just morphed. And now I feel the wild more than anything in me because I've completely like cut all tethers to the tame. So, I'm still finding my own balance as well. And we find that balance just by experiencing life, dipping our toe in. So I'm going to dip my toe into an old world thing and see if it's still there. But yeah, it may not be for me anymore if it's like, if it's crazy and wild, but it could be really fun too. So, um, all of that to say, I want to show you two things really quickly before I go. A couple weeks ago I was showing you guys this rock that I found, and it's like, don't mind my nails, they're so short. um it's like it looked like it has this little script on it, and I just like I can't see what it is, but it really resonates with me. Whatever this is really resonates. And one Liza, I think it was you. I don't know if I've seen her name on here, but one of our Ascension Bank members, Liza, came on and she said, "Oh, it looks like it says abracadabra." And I was like, "Oh my God." Because whenever I say a prayer or I say an intention or an invocation of, whatever you want to call it, I always end it with an abracadabra. And so it is. Like, I just love saying abracadabra. It's just fun. And also, it's very, very, highly charged in mythological times, and obviously not mythological times, but historical times. Abracadabra means the spoken word, manifest. So I use it and I like it. So anyway, so I got this like really cool scripted rock. And then today I was sitting on the beach and I was watching these dogs, the tame and the wild things going through my mind. And I look down and I see this rock, and they're not common. Like, you don't look down and see rocks. And so, can I get it up there? Oh, you can see on my. So this one has like this crazy scripty kind of like symbols. They look like symbols to me. And what it like reminds me of is all of the different forms of light language that I've seen, on social media and stuff. It really resonates with me, and I'm fascinated by light language, and I'm wondering if this has some kind of meaning. It hasn't come to me yet, but I'm going to sit with it, put it under my pillow maybe, and see what kind of language comes out or what kind of message comes out. But there are these really like mysterious rocks that are appearing, and then this last one, I don't know. Bud didn't see this at all, and I was like, "How do you not see that?" But okay, let's see if I can get it. So I got this, and this looked like like the old art pictures where like Jesus comes out of the clouds, and then he's like a light being. Like, that's what I saw, and I was like, "Oh, honey, look, do you see Jesus in the light being?" He was like, "Babe, no, I don't." So he literally laughed at me, but I thought that looked like an ascended master and a being coming down, and whatever. Rocks are talking to me, and I'm kind of liking it. So there's my wild. My wild side is connecting in a very non-tamed way, and linking in my imagination with what I'm seeing in my reality. But I'm seeing a lot of beautiful things. I'm seeing a lot of breadcrumbs. These are all breadcrumbs for me, and these breadcrumbs are leading to really massive, fine-tuned messages. Like, really, it makes me understand that we've got this. It now is just the mastery level thing where we're fine-tuning things. So just keep doing what you're doing, y'all. We're doing an amazing job. And I'm really excited. I can look forward to catching you up on St. Patrick's Day, whether or not I've closed that timeline or if it's going with me to the next iteration. Who knows? But thank you all for being here. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this group. I'm grateful for what this daily tune in makes me do throughout the day. And I say do because I have to really be in my day in order to be aware and to pull in the message, to be able to then do and do it and deliver it to you. And it's really helping me to go even deeper into the appreciation and the experience of my everyday life. So thank you so much for showing up here every day to hear this message, because it's a journey getting here, and it's making me better. So thank you for showing up and helping and supporting me to get better. Thank you, thank you, thank you, you all. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Dance a little virus jig just for the hell of it, or not. Bye, guys.